provide you with the lowest per GB rates, night or day. SLT 4G, driving you ever forward.
Making headlines on First at 9. Pressure mounting. Sri Lanka core group in Geneva urges the country to prioritize the 2 resolution. Destruction from within. Chief Prelate of the Askari chapter laments the need to protect Buddhism from members of the clergy. Assassination plot. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa insists that his brother's security needs beefing up. The joint opposition meanwhile calls for the IGP's resignation. No arrest plans. The Director General of Government Information denies rumours on Chief of Defence Staff's planned arrest. Stellar comeback. Lasith Malinga returns from obscurity to make his mark in the Asia Cup. A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to First at 9, another Derana 24/7 Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katharina Chang. Now moving on to your top story tonight. In a joint statement made at the 39th session of the Human Rights Council recently by the UK, Germany, Macedonia and Montenegro urged Sri Lanka to prioritise and drive forward implementation of resolutions 30/1 and 34/1 before the Council next considers Sri Lanka in March. The statement cites that pace of progress in areas pertaining to reconciliation and peace building remains slow, which they say could undermine reconciliation efforts. At the 39th session of the Human Rights Council, members of the Sri Lanka core group comprising of Germany, Macedonia, Montenegro and the UK delivered a joint statement on Sri Lanka. The statement, which was published on gov.uk earlier this week, stated that the core group welcomed the government's continued engagement with the UN system and actions to implement its National Reconciliation Action Plan and Peace-Building Priority Plan. However, the group pointed out that the pace of progress on important areas remain much slower than expected, adding that as time passes, lack of progress in delivering key steps will risk undermining reconciliation efforts. The joint statement further reads, quote, "In co-sponsoring Resolution 30/1, Sri Lanka recognised that national accountability mechanisms are essential to dealing with the past and to restoring confidence amongst its communities. They have yet to be established," unquote. Commenting on the Prevention of Terrorism Act, the group went on to say that as it has not been replaced with a law that accords with international standards, it remains outdated, and though processes to consider reform to important provisions of the Constitution, including the evolution of political authority, has been ongoing since 2016, a way forward has not been found. Furthermore, it says that they are concerned by recent reports of harassment of and attacks on human rights defenders. In its concluding remark, the group urged Sri Lanka to prioritise and drive forward implementation of resolutions 30/1 and 34/1 before the Council next considers Sri Lanka in March. Meanwhile, convener of the Patriotic Professionals Forum, Dr. Nalaka Gudheva, expressed his views on a statement at an event organised by the Global Sri Lankans Forum in Muscat, Oman yesterday.
The statement says that they commend efforts made by the present government to implement recommendations put forth by the UN. However, they are unhappy when it comes to the progress made in establishing an office for reparations. Who is to be compensated through this? The terrorists. However, a blind eye is turned towards civilians. This current government is dancing to their tune. While this is taking place, what did the US, the very country that made numerous allegations against Sri Lanka, say about the International Court of Justice? In a speech, Donald Trump's National Security Advisor John Bolton said that international courts have started holding inquiries on their war heroes, and if they attempt to meddle in its state affairs, they will cut funding and will chase them away from the country. Even Theresa May made a similar statement. See how other countries react when anyone speaks against their war heroes. But our country continues to dance to the tune of Western nations.
Meanwhile, in Geneva, a group of the Tamil diaspora organised a photo exhibition in line with the 39th session of the Human Rights Council the day before yesterday. Videos circulating on social media showcased images in the exhibition which takes a pro-LTTE stance in a bid to discredit the Sri Lankan army. Director General of Government Information Attorney-at-Law Sudarshana Gunawardena refutes media reports of the possible arrest of Chief of Defence Staff Vice Admiral Ravindra Vijay Gunaratne in connection with allegations on protecting Navy Sampath, while saying that the CID has had no plans to arrest the Chief of Defence Staff. The Director General says the CID sent a letter to Vice Admiral Vijay Gunaratne on the 2nd of September, informing him to give a statement over the allegations on supporting Navy Sampath to evade court and or providing protection by preventing his arrest. Navy Sampath was arrested by the CID on the 13th of August in connection with the abduction and murder of 11 youths in 2008 and 2009. Director General of Government Information added that some media saying a high-ranking figure of security forces is about to be arrested gives publicity to the opposition's opinion that the government is hunting war heroes. He also questions as how interrogating the Chief of Defence Staff amount to hunting of war heroes. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa is of the view that former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa's security should be beefed up in a backdrop where a plot to assassinate him has surfaced. The former president made his thoughts clear on the matter while speaking to media in Kabitighollava today. An almsgiving was conducted at the Halmillavatiya ancient temple today in memory of civilians who lost their lives in 2006 when the terrorist group the LTTE bombed a state passenger bus in the area of Yakavava in Kabitighollava. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was among those who attended the event.
I was the only one left. Then President Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived suddenly and I held his hand and asked him to end terrorism in the name of the country. He banged the table with his hand and said that he will decimate the terrorists. That sound still resonates in my heart. There have been various great men, but there was only one who could resolve the tragedy which befell us, and the one leader who could is seated over there. Do not forget the strife we underwent.
Following the event, the former president spoke to media.
It's very dangerous, and if there is a conspiracy, investigations should be conducted immediately. But I don't see the government acting appropriately. I remember that a similar conspiracy surfaced during President Bandaranaike. All concerned were arrested before launching investigations. It is imperative that his security is beefed up in a situation like this.
The joint opposition calls on the Inspector General of Police Pooja Jayasundara to resign from his position to ensure unbiased investigations into the alleged assassination plot of President Maithripala Sirisena and former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Member of the joint opposition parliamentarian Uday Gamanpila urged the IGP to step down during a media briefing held in Kegalle today.
It's been over 48 hours since DIG Nalaka de Silva's plot to assassinate the President and the former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa was revealed, but no action has been taken so far to arrest him. There's a condition to immediately arrest any high-ranking official of the police if they are found to be connected with crime, because they can destroy evidence, influence witnesses and investigators in the case. This is why DIG Silva should be arrested and remanded before anything else. He is also a very close friend of the IGP, and because of that, the Inspector General had always cleared him of any allegations. Nalaka de Silva was the one who framed Mahasohon Balakaya for the recent incident in Digana and remanded over 200 innocent Sinhalese. He was also the one to kick Venerable Kiribat Kumbure Sobidethera in the abdomen. DIG Silva also asked Amit Veerasinghe, who was found responsible for the incident in Digana, to give a statement saying that former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa is behind the incident in exchange for Veerasinghe's release and a chance for him to settle down abroad with his his family. This clearly shows that DIG Nalaka de Silva has always been against Gotabaya Rajapaksa. So, for this case to be unbiased, the IGP must resign from his position after considering the fact that he is a close friend of the responsible DIG and therefore might have some sort of connection with the planned assassination. There is also a chance for the blame to befall on the Prime Minister as well, because there is an indirect advantage for him if the President is killed. So the Prime Minister must take measures to clear his name by asking the IGP to resign from his position and by launching an unbiased investigation into the matter. President Maithripala Sirisena is the current head of state, and Gotabaya Rajapaksa is the one who has the highest chance of becoming the next head of state. What sort of a dramatic turn of events are these when there are plans by the police department to kill the very same prominent leaders whose security is supposed to be ensured?
The couple from Kuwait who attempted to bring a dog into the country, violating the animal quarantine law and assaulted custom officials on duty at the airport on the 27th of July were given a suspended 6-month prison term and a 9,000 rupee fine each. The Negombo magistrate suspended their sentence for a period of 5 years. Deputy Director of Customs Attorney at Law Peter Gunawardana appeared on behalf of the prosecution, the Customs. The couple was travelling with their pet dog and they refused to adhere to the quarantine procedure, which led to an argument resulting in the couple attacking Customs officials. The incident led to their arrest and invariably separation from their beloved dog. According to media reports, President Maithripala Sirisena recalled his top envoy to Austria and 5 other embassy staff in a sudden move. A source was quoted as saying Ambassador Priyanjani Vijayasekara was given her marching orders after calls made by President Sirisena to the embassy in Vienna last week went unanswered for several hours. Government sources, however, confirmed to other Derana the recall was prompted following a dereliction of duty by the ambassador. The source also confirmed that the embassy staff will also be recalled under several stages. President Maithripala Sirisena today engaged in an observational tour at the Nelumpukuna Theatre in Colombo, which is under the purview of the Presidential Secretariat. The President had instructed relevant officials to ensure proper maintenance of the Nelumpukuna Theatre. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe warns that if the benefit of Samurdhi cannot be ensured to supporters of the United National Party, even under UNP minister, the party runs the risk of losing its faithful. The Premier heralded the earning while addressing a function in Matale. Members of the public were made Samurdhi beneficiaries at the Edward Park grounds in Matale this morning under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. 5,400 families were given beneficiary status at the event.
A UNP minister is yet to get Samurdhi. If we fail to take it on and do what's needed, people will chase us away. But somehow Minister P. Harrison has taken it over and is doing it amid criticism. It was after much scorn that we took over the governance, and after more scorn, when nothing could be done, people voted against us during the local authorities election. We came to power during the most difficult period. I've been in various governments, but I've never seen such a level of criticism. On the other hand, we have also achieved results. We cannot let this debt be shouldered by the next generation, and that's an obligation of the government.
Chief Prelate of the Askari Chapter, Most Venerable Varakaguda Sri Gnanaratana Thera, laments the state Sri Lanka's Buddhism finds itself in, saying that it requires protection from its own members of the clergy. The Venerable Thera made the remark while addressing the 2018 Buddhist Literary Festival yesterday.
The 12th Buddhist Literary Festival, organised by the All Ceylon Buddhist Congress, was held yesterday at the BMICH under the patronage of Chief Prelate of Askari Chapter, Most Venerable Varakaguda Sri Gnanaratana Thera. It's unfortunate to mention here that Buddhism, which we protected over thousands of years, is in peril. It seems that we need to protect Buddhism from the Buddhist clergy as they have betrayed the religion. I do not want to talk in length about this matter because it will then become a topic for blame and criticism. Meanwhile, Mahasangha of the Malwatta and Askiri chapters held special discussions at the official monastery of the chief prelate of Malwatta chapter in Kandy today. The discussions had centered on alleged pressure against Buddhism and clergy within Sri Lanka.
Minister of Health Dr. Rajesh Senaratne reveals that numbers of men participating in programs to screen non-communicable diseases are comparatively low. He was speaking at the closing ceremony of the second health sector development project held in Colombo.
I am happy to learn that we shall be commencing the next World Bank project shortly, which I believe would focus strengthening primary care delivery in Sri Lanka. Implementation of the island-wide emergency ambulance service has now completed our target of uplifting our emergency care services to international standards. In addition to these improvements, we are also planning to deploy a fleet of helicopters to provide emergency transport which would help to save lives of many victims in remote areas of our country. As we all know, we are facing an epidemic of NCDs at present. In order to nip the problem in the bud by providing early treatments to patients, we have commenced a screening program at Healthy Lifestyle Centers set up island-wide. During the project period, the number screened at Healthy Lifestyle Centers has increased to 25%. However, the number of males participating in screening is relatively low. Under the next phase of the bank project, we are planning to strengthen the primary care services through implementing family medicine concepts so where every member of a family will receive NCD screening at regular intervals with follow-up monitoring to ensure that they take treatment regularly. And I hope to monitor this project monthly at the Heads of Institutes meeting to make it more success in the third stage of the project.
The fifth batch of devotees who won the privilege to take part in the program Dambadiva Vandana, organized by FM Derana, travelled from Agra to city of Sivat today. The 90 devotees are scheduled to pay their homage to various religious sites during their 14-day visit. They will travel to Jethavanarama tomorrow morning to engage in religious observances. The program Dambadiva Vandana, organized by FM Derana, has now entered into its sixth phase. And with that, let's now cross over to a short commercial break.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
The Sri Lanka Economic Summit 2018, which concluded yesterday, opened the floor for experts to speak on the country's present economic climate, with Sri Lanka's trade competitiveness and government projects coming under the microscope. Addressing the forum, a resident representative of the International Monetary Fund, Dr. Eterik Kwantradze, said that Sri Lanka's restrictive foreign direct investment and trade regulations have hindered efforts to boost the country's trade competitiveness. Meanwhile, during a panel discussion at the forum, State Minister of National Policies and Economic Affairs Dr. Harshali Silva assured that the Port City reclamation project will function under new laws to ensure policy consistency while staying within the constitution.
Sri Lanka, compared to other emerging markets, has a more restrictive FDI and trade regulatory environment, and there are huge gains to be made if this environment is more open and less regulated or more predictable. Sri Lanka's economy lost its trade competitiveness. Its trade structure has not changed in past 25 years. It has remained garments and tea and rubber products. Now, question is why Sri Lanka's export structure has been frozen for past 25 years. And answer is because it's highly protected, highly regulated, and there is no space for competition and innovation. I think all the reforms mentioned here
Meanwhile, speaking at a separate panel discussion at the Sri Lanka Economic Summit, Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of the Colombo Port City, Ming said reclamation and marine engineering work of the port city is expected to be completed next year, and added that work pertaining to the city infrastructure of the project commenced 2 months ago.
The next part of what we are trying to do now is really to attract investments into the port city. These investments are highly dependent on the economic policies of the country.
There are many cities in China that are now become ghost cities. They are unable to fill. Will the port city become a ghost city?
Well, I think it all starts with a vision. You have to really look at the location and ask yourself whether there's some potential in it. If you look at the whole of South Asia region, there isn't really a credible financial center. There must be a huge market in South Asia that needs to be serviced. Who is doing it? Nobody.
Meanwhile, State Minister Dr. Harshadi Silva touched on the legislation which will be applied to the mega project.
So we are finalizing the legal infrastructure and the incentive infrastructure. So the platforms are getting ready. The laws are now being reviewed by top global law firms. Investment incentives are pretty much agreed upon. We just need to make it public, but we will do it at the right time. We are confident. But one thing you must note, this is an international financial center. This is the most unique piece of real estate in this part of the world. Nothing we will do at the port city will be contra the constitution. What we want to do is to deal with the issues that you mentioned at the beginning, inconsistency in policy, in regulation, in law, so that anyone who comes and invests in Port City will know, by and large, it's English law that applies. It is almost a policy lab. So when I say a policy lab, we are doing things differently in Port City. And if it works, then we can bring it to the rest of the country.
According to media reports, Sri Lanka has injected 10.5 billion rupees of newly minted money for 2 weeks at a weighted average yield of 8% through a term reverse repo auction, 50 basis points below the ceiling policy rate despite currency pressure. The report stated that on the 11th of September, the central bank injected 9.2 billion rupees at 8.09% for 2 weeks, ending September 26 through a term reverse repo auction. On the following day, another 12.5 billion rupees were injected for 2 weeks, ending September 27th. In a joint statement yesterday, trade and investment ministers from G20 countries meeting in Argentina said there was an urgent need to improve the World Trade Organization. With US President Donald Trump readying tariffs on another $200 billion in Chinese goods, the ministers said they were stepping up the dialogue on international trade disputes. It did not provide any details of possible WTO reforms or how a dialogue on trade was being increased. German Deputy Economy Minister Oliver Wittke said the joint declaration sent a powerful signal about the importance of strengthening WTO, especially in times of America's first and increasing global protectionism. At least 14 people have died after Typhoon Mangkhut ripped through the Philippines' main island of Luzon and is now moving west towards China, leaving a trail of destruction in the northern Philippines. Now, more than 4 million people were in the path of the storm, which packed winds of 185 kilometers per hour. Thousands were evacuated amid warning of 20-feet storm surges. In the first confirmed deaths, 2 rescuers were killed trying to help people trapped in a landslide. There are unconfirmed reports of casualties in the coastal town of Apari. The evacuation center there is said to have been destroyed and phone networks are down. The deadliest storm on record in the Philippines was Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013, which killed more than 7,000. Meanwhile, in the United States, much-dreaded storm Florence has claimed 7 lives after making landfall in North Carolina. Parts of North and South Carolina and Virginia are also said to be at risk of what the weather authorities describe as life-threatening flash floods. Weather forecasters warn of the risk of life-threatening flash flooding in parts of North and South Carolina and Virginia from Storm Florence. It has been downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm, but continues to soak the East Coast area with rain, downing trees and damaging homes. It is slowly grinding over the eastern states with winds of 150 kilometers per hour. Evacuation warnings were issued for 1.7 million people in the region. The storm originally made landfall at Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina on Friday morning as a Category 1 hurricane. We will cross over to a short commercial break now.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
A very good evening everyone and welcome to Forecast First. It's going to be a very hot day in the northern and eastern provinces tomorrow, with temperatures set to go as high as 37 degrees Celsius in those regions. The increase in temperature has prompted the Disaster Management Center to issue a heat advisory. The general public are urged to take simple precautionary measures against the heat, such as drinking more water and using an umbrella outdoors. The heat will continue for a few more days and showers will stay clear of the upper region of the island tomorrow. Several districts, however, including Kandy, Negombo, Matara and Hambantota, will see some light showers. That's all that we have from the Weather Center tonight. Let's now take a look at your city-by-city forecast.
Time now for you to get the latest from the world of entertainment with our segment 70 Seconds of Entertainment.
The much-loved US science fiction drama series The X-Files celebrated its 25th anniversary on the 10th of September. The show's 218 episodes spanning across 11 seasons based on adventures of FBI agents Fox Mulder and Dana Scully have won numerous prestigious awards over the years and remain as one of the most famous TV series in the world. This week, John Legend made history, becoming the youngest EGOT winner after winning his Emmy at the Creative Arts Emmy Awards for producing the Best Variety Special winner, Jesus Christ Superstar Live in Concert. With that, he also took the title as the first African American to win the 4 most prestigious awards in the entertainment industry: the Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar and Tony. Modern Family fans should prepare to grieve next season, as co-creator of the series Christopher Lloyd had announced that in season 10 a main character will die. The award-winning American television mockumentary will premiere its latest season later this month. The Predator seems to be on its way to hit the #1 at the US box office with an expected haul of $29 million over the weekend.
Well, you can of course catch more entertainment news in our program Showbiz Tonight tomorrow at 9:35 p.m. with Mahesh Johnny. And with that, we conclude this edition of First at 9. As usual, thank you for joining us and have a pleasant evening.